Whenever I have a project I don't want to do, I follow a very strict two-step process. Step 1. Avoid it as long as possible. We're talking weeks, months, even years. Step 2. Get tired of looking at it and do it all as fast as possible. Today we're doing step 2 for the Fairfield roof. It's time to shingle this puppy. I do already have a very detailed shingling video for the Addams Family house, and I will put that in the description box below. I will be doing a lot of the same techniques on this roof. So you might be asking, why are you making another video on shingles? This is going to be my shingle in a day challenge, because I really just want to get this over with. I think it'll be interesting to document if this is possible to do in a day or not. I'm hoping I can just rip off the band-aid and get it done. I was hoping to get meals prepped and all of my store packages done before this day, so I literally had nothing else to do, but I didn't get that done. So I'll still have other things from life going on today while I'm trying to shingle this all. I did, however, prep pre-cutting some other shingles because I like the Victorian shingled look where there's different shaped shingles on the roof, and I never trust a kit to have all the shingles that you need. Ever. Plus, a lot of these are really broken and smashed and basically wood pulp, so. If you would, here at the beginning, wish me a little bit of luck, I really would appreciate it. But first, breakfast. Not this. I'll keep you updated.
This very long process starts with a series of lines. I first have to place the shingles on the roof to figure out where they look good and how much I want them to overlap. Once I have that figured out, I can mark where I need to place my horizontal lines against the roof surfaces. The first set of shingles is probably going to have a different measurement than the second set and up. The first set is going to be, for me, about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom of the roof, and the rest of them are going to be a 1/2 inch apart. This roof was a unique challenge, I would say, because it is a roof that I have kind of cut and put back together and cut off pieces where it didn't quite fit. I was worried that starting from the bottom and measuring up, I wouldn't quite have the same measurements on each side of the roof. But by some miracle, it all worked out. And I will go ahead and say up front, it has been a huge help to have an adjustable desk for this process because I can lower it when I need to work up high on the roof, and I can raise it if I need to work lower on the roof. However, if you don't have an adjustable desk, having 2 different height surfaces is also very helpful. So if you have a bar that you can work on and change your sitting position, that'll help your back a lot. So here's my sample for the Victorian roof. You can see there's 2 different shingle styles, and that's what I was talking about in the introduction, that I am going to be using the shingles from the kit, which have a pointed end, and I'm going to be mixing those with the shingles that I laser cut that have more of a squared off end. I'm going to be using my pencil to mark off the areas where my laser cut shingles are going to go, and the reason I'm doing this ahead of time is so I can try and match them across the entirety of the roof. They should look like they're matching up from the top down, even though I'm starting my shingles from the bottom up. To attach the shingles, I'm using Fabrifix glue. In a lot of Greenleaf kits, they suggest hot glue, which absolutely makes me cringe. Hot glue can be very helpful to temporarily hold things together, but if you want a long-lasting dollhouse, please do not use hot glue as your only glue. It will definitely let you down. I refer to Fabrifix or Fabri-Tac, they're very similar, as cold hot glue. The reason for this is it is very fast acting. It will grab onto your pieces really quickly, so you can move fast in something like shingling. However, you do have a little bit more working time, and it's a lot more permanent than hot glue. It won't melt if it gets a little bit hot. Here I'm starting to layer and intermix the shingles. The wood shingles were the first ones that I put on, and then I added my laser cut shingles that I cut out of chipboard, which is like a cereal box material. They are going to have a slightly different texture once I start painting them, but honestly that's okay because I'm wanting them to look different anyway. If I wanted them all to have the same texture, I could have just cut the pointed ones with my laser as well, but I'm okay with the different textures. As I'm going along, I am overlapping the left side of the roof just a little bit because I'm thinking in my head that I can cut it off later, so I'm not worrying about it too much, but eventually I start cutting it to size before gluing it on because it was a little annoying to try and cut through all those thick shingles with a pair of scissors, and it was very time consuming to clean it up with a craft knife. So even though I'm allowing it to be kind of messy on the left, this is the only part of the roof I do that on. I'm keeping it very clean on the right side of the roof, which is on the inside, because I knew that would be hard for me to go in and cut off since it's the interior of the dollhouse. Here is one completed side of the roof. I'm really happy with how the different shaped shingles are looking next to each other, and I'm pretty happy with the pattern I chose. So here you can see I'm trying to cut through those shingles with the scissors, which is working, it is functioning, but it's just not leaving the cleanest look, and I did have to go back with my craft blade, as I mentioned, and clean it up quite a bit. So that is why this is the last time I end up doing it that way.
I started at 10, it's now 11:42 a.m., so I'm going to stop and go ahead and make lunch for me and my kids. So far, all I've accomplished is doing the intro for the video, putting lines onto the roof surfaces, and one section of the roof that really doesn't have that many shingles. I would say that's about an hour and a half-ish worth of work, so I don't know. We'll see. Once I get into a groove, I feel like it goes pretty quickly, so hopefully a little bit of lunch, a little bit of sustenance, and we'll be ready to continue. I'm also thinking I might paint as I go along. That way I have reduced dry times. So once I feel like the glue is dry on this side, I might go ahead and do a base coat of black. So while I'm putting shingles on another part of the roof, the paint on here is drying. Dry time is always a huge factor in trying to get projects like this done. So if I can be smart about it, I might have a chance to actually accomplish this. You want some lunch too, Stormy? Okay. Lunch for Stormy too.
I figured during this lunch break we could do some shingle roasting. This center shingle is what they're supposed to look like. There are some connected, which would be nice if the grooves were deep enough to make them look like they were actually separated, so I ended up cutting them apart. There's several that are kind of 1.5 shingles, some that are thick regular shingles, then there's the extra skinny, the 3/4 of a shingle, then there's just like parts of shingles, squares, small rectangles, even smaller rectangles, and wood pulp, as I previously mentioned. So quite a variety, and not many that are actually the shape they're supposed to be.
Lunch is done, children are fed, I fulfilled a couple orders that I needed to, so I think for the rest of the day, or at least until dinner, I am full focused on this roof, which I need to be if I have any chance of finishing this. I think I'm going to start this next round of shingling right in this area. This is a really complicated roof section, and I think if I can just get this out of the way, the rest of it is going to be easy because it's easy to reach. But there's like 1, 2, 3 roof slopes that are all coming together. It's just really tight. So I'm going to get some tweezers and start trying to attack this area first.
Now I know what you might be thinking, because as I'm editing this video, I'm thinking it too. If I just stopped doing updates and talking to the camera, maybe I could get this done. However, I wanted to take you along with me for this journey and really give you active updates of how I was feeling during this process, so that was my thought process behind doing it this way. As you can see, I'm starting with some laser cut pieces, and that's because as I did the little X's that are telling me where the laser cut pieces need to be, this side of the roof is shorter than the other side of the roof, and the bottom pieces just ended up being the laser cut ones. It started getting really complicated to reach in that very small area I was showing you where the 3 roof pieces come together. So tweezers were very, very helpful, and I had to be very patient, and I just continued cutting off pieces or cutting off sides until they fit in the area. I was so thankful once I was out of that area and I could start working on straight lines of shingles again because it just started going so much faster. It was at this point I felt like I could start my idea of painting as I went along, so that very first panel that I started on at the beginning of the video, I was able to go back and paint it with a base coat of black. This will be the coat of paint that I make sure and I get into all the cracks and crevices. At this point, I decided I really wanted to start sitting for this process. I was getting tired of standing. So this was a great time to change my work position, to change the desk height, and get back to work on the shingles.
It's about 3:30, so I've done about 3 hours worth of work on the roof. I got this one side painted black. I got the shingles put on these sides. I still have this side here, these 2 roof segments over here. At this point, I'm getting pretty tired of this. I guess I would say I've probably put in about 5 hours worth of work total on this roof. I'm just getting to that exhausted point. It's a bored exhausted. Another thing I'm finding as I'm going along is that some of my vertical lines aren't very straight, so I'm trying to, well, part of the problem is that the roof lines are not completely straight. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm evening things out as best as I can, but ultimately if I sit here and fuss with it too much, I'm not going to get this done at all. If I wasn't doing a shingle your roof in 1 day challenge for myself, I would probably quit right about here and I would think, okay, I'm gonna pick this back up tomorrow. But instead, I'm gonna get a snack, I'm gonna get something to drink, and I'm going to continue to push through and get this finished. Hopefully. My kids have been great today. My dog has been great today. She's just taken a little nap over there. So I really don't have any excuse of things distracting me. So I'm gonna do it. At least I hope I can get the shingles on. Even if I don't get the painting done, if I can just get the shingles on the roof, I will be happy.
After getting myself something to drink, a snack, I was feeling much more energized. Just sometimes getting up and walking to do something else and taking a break is really nice, but also getting a refreshment is really nice too. So, highly suggest snacks, always. I realize this hasn't been the most fun or educational video packed with like new techniques, But this is the truth of creating a dollhouse. This is the behind the scenes. It is tedious, very tedious at times. I put a post about shingles on my Facebook page, or what people who create dollhouses or miniatures are really good at avoiding, and there were so many things that came up that were necessary to get to the end of a project, but were just tiresome. A lot of it is long hours, working hard, doing the same thing over and over again to get that final result. It was interesting to me also on that post that there were several people that said they enjoyed the monotonous tasks. They liked putting shingles or floorboards, and it was a very calming process for them. So for me, it's not. But let me know in the comments if you're one that enjoys tasks like this, or if you would rather do something different every single time you create.
I've made it to exactly here. All I have left is this part right here, and my back is killing me. Hold on, let me move the light a little bit. My back is hurting, and I think I am going to push through just to finish this so that it can be dry for tomorrow, but I have to stop. Even though I really, really, really wanted to get this done one day, it's not worth putting myself through any pain. Obviously, it's just my body saying, hey, I think that's enough work for today, and I need to listen to that. So I am just going to finish this shingle part, which may take me another 30 minutes. I guess technically, if I can do that, then I did shingle the house in a day because all the shingles are on. But I'm not going to get the painting done until tomorrow, which is fine. So I will see you tomorrow. I will hopefully be feeling a lot better as far as my back goes. I do have a few back issues from earlier in my life, so I just have to really pay attention to that. So I hope if you're watching this and you're thinking, hey, I want to just plow through a project as well, make sure you listen to your body and what you need to do to take care of yourself, because that is the most important. So just a few more and we're done.
I figured the best way to start day 2 was to clean up my mess from day 1. I didn't have any more shingles to attach, so that was really satisfying to put away. The shingles ended up everywhere because I had to hunt and search for the correct shingles, or the shingles that I thought would fit in the space. They were just everywhere and I had way too many out. So I'm going to keep those in case I have another half-scale project in the future that I need to shingle, but those are put away. Then I decided to have my breakfast, and I know it looks like I am reading the daily news, but these are the instructions for the Fairfield. I realized I hadn't looked at them this entire time while I was working on this part of the project.
I'm feeling refreshed and I'm ready to get back into this project, and I'm hoping I can finish this up in just about half a day. So a day and a half total. I decided to pull out the Fairfield directions and see what they said to do about the shingles, and I couldn't find any information about the shingles. So I guess they just kind of leave you to figure it out, which is surprising because I do know, at least in the Real Good Toys kit, the Allison Jr. that I made for the Addams Family house, there were shingle directions. So I'm kind of surprised there aren't directions in here, but once again, these directions are fired. But I did remember while I was looking at the directions that I do have 2 more sections on top of these bay windows that I have to complete. So I am going to pull the roof pieces out of the kit and work on those in between while I'm waiting for paint to dry. So I'm going to pick right back up where I stopped in the middle of painting my base coat of black, and then hopefully I can transform this into a colorful roof that matches the colorful walls. So here we go.
I got a wonderful surprise when I went through my Fairfield kit, and that is that those little side roof pieces that I need are missing. If you've been following my Fairfield journey at all, you will know that I have lost some roof pieces in the past, so they must have gone along with those roof pieces. The very top roof pieces, actually the ones I'm messing with now, I think are the ones I lost. So I lost more than I remembered. So I am going to have to remake those little side pieces, but before I do that, I went ahead and painted the entire base coat of black over all the shingles. In order to make our roof watertight, I am going to have to add some flashing. This is not something that's provided in the kit, but it's something I like to do. It is architectural that you need flashing on a roof. However, it also, I think, makes the roof just look really nice and really polished in the end. So what I'm doing is cutting some strips of cardstock, and then I'm going to fold them in half and then add them along any valleys or peaks in the roof. I like to add the valleys first, and then along the peak lines, that's where I'm going to add the final pieces so that they cover up any edges. This isn't an exact science, and of course your roof when it comes to a dollhouse doesn't actually have to be watertight. However, this is the process I like to go through. I added a little triangle cut wherever the roof intersects, and this is the final result of that process. When I get towards the end of the inside of the valleys, I like to cut a little arrow corner, as you can see there, and I think that just gives it a nice finish. And now I can add a base coat of black over those cardstock pieces once I'm sure they're dry, and my roof is, in air quotes, watertight, and I can start adding the finishing touches of paint. I'm going to be doing a semi-dry brush of brown. It's not a complete dry brush because there's quite a bit of paint on my paintbrush, but I'm not trying to completely cover up all of the black base coat. Having some of the black show through shows the age of the roof and makes it seem like there might be a little bit of rot going on in the roof tiles, which I am totally okay with on this build. Because I want those different shaped shingles to really stand out, I'm going to paint them a different color. I'm using some of the laser cut sheet as a template to protect the other shingles while I do this process. I'm going to semi-dry brush some of the violet paint that I've used on other parts of the house over the row of shingles that I laser cut. This is really going to have them stand out, and I think it's going to give a unique look to my Fairfield roof. This is why it was even more important that I made sure to line up from the top which shingles were going to have this violet color and which were going to be the brown. Because if I hadn't lined them up and figured them all out by marking out the areas with pencil, then at this point my roof would look really strange, I think. Even more strange than it already is. I had started painting the cardstock flashing the violet as well, but I really didn't like it, so I decided to switch to this dark blue I had used on the trim for the rest of the house, and I really started to like that a lot more. I'm having a hard time deciding whether or not I like the roof, simply because I had been used to it being a flat black color for so long, because I had been avoiding the shingles for so long that I really just wasn't sure if I liked it. But of course, after a little aging, I always like things better. I'm using some shaved chalk pastel, and I'm adding little bits of black and brown all over the roof to continue to give my roof a shaved look, an aged look. Of course, I had to go back and vacuum up some of that chalk pastel so I wasn't getting it all over my hands. At this point, I would be finished with this project, except that I need to build these little side roof pieces that I have lost. I'm measuring from underneath the windows and out to the sides, and this is going to give me my angles that I need to create the front roof piece. And then I can just trace out the side pieces that I need on a piece of mat board and then cut 2 of them. This is going to give me this front roof area that I need so that I can shingle it. The original pieces set back a little bit further so that there is a ledge, but I like this a lot more because now I can shingle it to match the shingles on the roof. And I feel like having shingles on the lower part of the house and the upper part of the house is going to give everything a much more cohesive look. I followed the same exact steps as I did before, even adding the flashing around the windows, and then I did the base coat and the painting just like before. I decided to do the whole thing in the laser cut pieces, and then I painted everything in that lavender violet color, or whatever I called it. And here is the final result on both of those little mini side roof pieces. And here is the entire dollhouse finally shingled.
This is the end of day 2. I'm sorry I didn't do that many updates. However, I'm done. The roof is finished. The shingling is finished. Even these little side roof areas that I totally forgot I needed to do. I think 1.5 days would have been perfect for this project if I hadn't forgotten that I needed to create these. And I didn't know I had missing pieces, so I had to create those from scratch as well. As far as shingling and painting and just finishing the project, I did not hit my 1-day challenge goal, but I'm still happy with the process. I would guess I probably spent between 8 and 9 hours on this project. So if you have the energy and the stamina, I'm sure you probably could complete this in 1 day, but I definitely felt like I needed to take a break at the end of last night. I will also say that having these laser cut strips of shingles made the project go so much faster. So I'm guessing if I hadn't laser cut many of the shingles on here in a strip that was connected together, it probably would have been a 10 or 12 hour project. Gluing little individual shingles on takes a long time. And especially when the shingles aren't all the same shape, oftentimes I was hunting and searching for the right shingle so that I could keep up with the shingle pattern. If I did too many skinny shingles over too many thick shingles, the pattern just didn't work. I really don't know why this isn't the standard where the shingles are connected. It's so much easier and it's easier to pack this way, so Greenleaf, please start doing them like this, please. I will leave the link to my SVG for these shingles in the description box below. If you have a Fairfield or another project where you want to cut your own shingles out, you can download that, and then if you're doing a 1/12 scale project, just make sure to enlarge these by 200% before you cut them. Looking through this Victorian house book for ideas for my shingles really got me excited about some of the architectural elements that you can find on the roof. Also, some really cool porch railings, which I haven't done my porch railings or porch supports either yet. And perhaps one of my next projects will be coming up with some of these roof elements to push this house even more into looking like the Victorian style. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm not quite sure when my next video will be. Another reason I was trying to do this all in 1 day is because I am prepping for a miniature show being held here in Dallas. I have lots of kits to laser cut and put together, so I'm going to be pretty busy with that. Of course, I'm going to be working on something in the background, but stay tuned to my social media and you'll know when a new video is coming out. I hope you all have an amazing week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! I set up the camera a little too low. While looking at that, I did remember there are 2 bay window roofs. Roofs. I had popcorn. It's stuck in my teeth now. Roofs. I don't know. Lunch is done. Children are